Good morning. Your vote counts. I'm Scott Mitchell with Leader Eckles, Senator Kirt. Good to have you both this morning. People are talking about the Omicron outbreak. Representative Eckles, you know this is going to be impacting this legislative session, which is only 3 weeks away. Your thoughts? What are your concerns?
Well, as we get ready for this legislative session, everybody knows Omicron is out there. It is very much infecting all of Oklahoma's population. One of the big pushes we're going to make, and I was really proud of the Department of Health, is we have to increase the monoclonal antibodies that are available inside the state. Ever since the federal government took them over in September, this is the first time ever we've been experiencing supply shortage. I think you're going to see more legislators like myself and the governor stepping up and saying, we need to have more monoclonal antibodies. They're approved treatment. They need to come to Oklahoma. The feds need to get out of the way. On top of that, I want to encourage everyone. I think you should go out and get your vaccine. I continue to be against vaccine mandates for any other type, but I am vaccinated. It does help with Omicron. Go talk to your doctor. Do what they suggest. Even as I continue to be against the mandates, I think for this issue right now, it's helpful.
Senator Kurtz, your thoughts about what we might be looking at in the Senate when we start dealing with this fifth or sixth outbreak?
Yeah, I mean, it's just wildfire this week. And I think we have to figure out how to make the best decision for our health, the easiest decision. I just today was trying to get a booster shot, a booster vaccine for my son, who's 14. It took me several different websites, and I know this system. So I want to make sure that access is as good as it can be. I think about my daughter's principal standing out front, handing out masks. What else can we do to encourage us to slow the spread of this virus? And I think we got to be making those hard decisions. We're all tired of it, but we got to push through a little while longer to try to keep each other healthy.
Okay, and while this is ongoing, there are a lot of things that are still happening economically. One of those is evictions. No ban on evictions anymore. It's a tough situation here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, in my district, we have an apartment complex called Foxcroft. People have been without heat since September, and there's no good answer for them. The out-of-state landlords still haven't taken care of it. The city has cited the property owners, but it's still not happening, and people are there. They don't have the money to move. And what I've been shocked by is the gaps in the system where people might have to wait to be homeless to get the services they need. So that's what I'm trying to find out, trying to make sure our systems are in place, and that's really important for the legislature to look at gaps in systems.
Mr. Leader, you're looking at this. We know you keep talking about it, inflation being a byproduct of this, but there are other things that are hurting people right now.
So I'm going to hit on inflation, but I got to point out one area that the senator and I agree with strongly is when we fought in some of the shared areas, these out-of-state apartment owners that are not taking care of Oklahomans. And I've run bills to try to get more authority for cities to take care of that. It's disgusting. Something needs to be done about that, and we need to continue to push it. Now, but you're also saying as part of this, inflation is absolutely out of control. And we've talked about it on this show a lot. It really hits our lower class, and it hits those that are hardworking Oklahomans that are doing their best to make it. We've got to do a better job, yes, with our systems, but we've eventually got to look inflation square in the eye and saying a lot of these evictions that we're dealing with right now, we've got to find a way to make these dollars stand forth and go further. And you're going to see some of that next year with some of the educational reforms that we'll be pushing to get people in good jobs.
Speaking of education, a kerfuffle over teacher salaries, a big report out this week. We'll have that in your next half hour. Welcome back. Big dispute this week. If you saw Augusta McDonald's report on the LOFT report on teacher salaries, we'll put it in the show description on news9.com. And Senator Kirt, this was the LOFT report, and some people, especially in the education system, not happy with the numbers that LOFT came up with.
LOFT gathers some really important information for us to analyze. I think sometimes we don't agree on what those policy outlooks are. And this week that was clear because they were looking at teacher salaries, really focusing on trying to say that we're doing a good job on teacher salaries, which great. I'm glad if we're making progress as a state. We know we worked hard after the walkout, but there's other factors that are harder to deal with that are affecting educators leaving our schools. They're moving mountains through COVID. It's been a long time, multi-decade loss of teachers and educators, and we've got to figure out the hard things to do to help educators stay in the classroom.
Hey, it's probably safer to discuss religion and politics at the dinner table, John, than teacher salaries in Oklahoma. But the report, there's going to be something come out of this report in the legislative session, don't you imagine?
Well, I sure hope so. The report says Oklahoma is moving in the right direction in teacher salaries. It does take into account cost of living, which I think is fair. I mean, no matter what position you are in Oklahoma City, you make less money than that position in Dallas. It was interesting. Some other reports came out and said you shouldn't take that into account. And I don't think those other reporters want to pay what people are paid in Dallas. But here's the key. Our educators have to have more money. That's the bottom line. But they also have to have more respect, and they have to have more resources. We've got to redefine what we consider education and continue what's been a good trajectory of continuing to increase teacher salary and increase money in the classroom. But what came out of the report is, well, we're doing a good job. We're not there yet. So I anticipate it being another good education year, both for funding and for parental choice.
So recently we saw where the Equalization Board certified a bunch of money, a bunch of new money this year. Now there's discussions about, do we spend it? Do we save it? Where is all this going to go, Mr. Leader?
Yeah, the answer is yes. We have to spend it in strategic areas, and we have to save quite a bit of it to make sure when we go through another economic downturn, like I walked into when I was in the legislature, we're better prepared. I don't want another legislator to have to go through what I had to go through. Where I want to see extra spending go to is in workforce development, and I want it targeted. I want it targeted to graduate teachers, engineers, nurses, those specific degrees that we need as we continue to move this state forward. And if we cast a vision, we have more money than we've ever had in the history of the state because we've had good, sound financial policies. Let's remember that money doesn't belong to the state of Oklahoma. It belongs to taxpayers, and it has to be spent effectively and well.
Senator, where do you think this money should be spent? How should we be spending or saving?
You know, across the board, we need to spend on prevention. Our state spends far too much money on crisis, whether that's criminal justice or waiting till folks are in crisis with mental health issues or substance use disorders. We need to spend that money to prevent those crises. And that's a big area. We've got to invest in people, and that prevention is going to lead to long-term well-being for our state. If we want to keep people in the workforce, if we want to keep families together, we need to support them through mental health treatment.
Senator Kirt, Leader Eckles, thanks for being here this morning.
My pleasure.
See this again at news9.com/yourvotecounts and follow me on Twitter @MitchellTalks.